Hey y'all, welcome back to a brand new video. Today, my husband and I are going to share with you us building a custom TV stand. Now, this isn't just any TV stand. This is a very detailed, unique piece that is not only custom to our space, but it also has built-in speakers that are connected to our surround sound system. It turned out amazing, and I am so honored to be sharing with you guys today. I hope you enjoy. Let's jump right into the video. You weren't even gonna come save me?
I mean, what do you want me to do against the bee? I ain't even
I don't
got
know,
nothing.
come sacrifice yourself?
Nah, the smart thing was what you did. You were good.
You didn't even try to save me though.
He wasn't coming after you. He was just swirling out here.
Yeah, but the idea is that you come out and you save me.
And then,
The first order of business is making all the measurements and cuts. Now, this piece is custom for our space. So with any TV stand, if you're building something on your own, that's the beauty of DIY, because you can truly customize it to your area. If it needs to be really narrow or really tall or really short, you have the ability to make it whatever you want it to be. And that is why I love DIY, and one of the reasons why this was absolutely necessary for us to build this ourselves. So the TV stand that we built is actually 6 foot long, but it's only a foot in depth. So it's very narrow, which was perfect because the space that we put it in is not very big. And while we wanted to have like a grand, TV stand, something that really stood out and was like, wow, that's cool, we just didn't want it taking up too much room. We didn't want it to be too big or too bulky, so that is why we ended up doing the whole custom build. And speaking of custom build, I felt like, this is me going into it with more of like a forever mindset, I just felt like if I was going to put the time and effort into this build and put any money into it, I wanted to make sure that it was going to last forever and be made of good quality. So I ended up going with the birch panels that I got from Lowe's. Now, each of these panels are $44 a piece. They are expensive. I do realize that. However, they are amazing quality. They're not super heavy. They're lightweight, but they don't split. There's not like crazy knots in the wood. The entire piece is super smooth and just absolutely stunning. I have built the built-ins in our living room next to our fireplace. I made those out of the really cheap pine boards that you can get. They're like $20 a piece. I would have saved a lot of money doing it that way, but they just don't stain the same. They split really easy, and a lot of the boards are kind of warped in the center, and we had no room for mistakes with this TV stand. I wanted it to look as professionally done as possible, so we did splurge a little bit on the wood that we used. Also, I wanted to mention, you can buy this birch wood, instead of it being in panels where it's more expensive, you can buy it as a sheet. It's a lot more affordable, but you just need a table saw to cut it down, or you need them to strip it down at Lowe's. In our case, we were just going with the quick, easy, convenient option, so that's why I ended up buying the panels. At this point, we have the 4 pieces cut. So we have the 2 side panels and then the top and the bottom. And I'm going through with my Kreg jig now and just adding the pocket holes where we're going to attach everything together. It's not. Yeah, but you got to clamp it. You can't hold it and do it. It won't work. You have to clamp it.
What says it?
Try it.
You think my thumb ain't strong enough? Girl, you crazy.
Okay. Oh, strong thumbs. Use this to help make sure that it's solid and straight.
Right like there is it.
Okay, here, you grab the drill and screw it in. Now, something I don't typically do with projects is use wood glue, but for this project, I'm using the wood glue. And that is because it is a TV stand. It's something that's eventually going to have to be moved around, whether we move or we decide to rearrange. I wanted to make sure that this thing is as solid as possible. And I feel like the screws hold it well, but that wood glue just gives it that extra security. So that way you don't have to worry about the screws coming loose and it falling apart. This is just going to give you that grip that you definitely need. So don't skip this step. I typically do for other things, especially like if I don't feel like it's going to be a permanent project. But if it's going to be a permanent project, use the wood glue. I don't think you're going to be able to help with this part. You can probably help with the center pieces. Here, I'll tell you what, go hold that side of the board so it doesn't move for me. Just hold it tight.
Right here?
Yep, just hold it still.
Give it some.
It's hard. I got it in there.
Yeah.
Now that we have the top, bottom, and the two sides on, now we were trying to figure out what we wanted for the actual TV stand itself. Like I said, I drew up a plan, like an idea, but we knew that the speakers themselves were not that big. And by the time we decided on the length of the TV stand and the height, we didn't want like the box where the speaker was going to go to be like ridiculously big. So we ended up cutting these birch pieces of plywood down and made the actual speaker box a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the scale of it. We didn't want the box to be way too big and the speaker look real small and it look awkward, so we wanted the scale to match. So we ended up cutting them down to this size. Now, by the way, this little birch plywood panel that I just cut down, that is what you can buy as like a big sheet to cut down. But like I said, Arlo's doesn't have the big ones, they just have the small ones. And these are actually thinner than I would have wanted to build this out of anyway. That's a whole story. I don't know. This is what our box ended up looking like for the speaker. So this is the actual size, and then we're gonna have a shelf above that, shelves in the center, and it was just a matter of like putting it all together and then adding the trim work after to really customize it to make it look unique. And so whenever I originally went into this piece and was trying to come up with a design, I wanted something that was like kind of mid-century, old world, but yet modern, and something that I've never seen before. Like I knew I wanted it to be so darn unique that nobody on this planet has anything remotely similar. That was the ultimate goal. And when you're trying to create something like that and you're hoping that it's going to turn out visually appealing in the end, it's a little scary. And I remember I kept telling Dylan, I'm like, I really hope this turns out okay, especially after all this time and effort and money. And he's like, oh, it's going to look great. It's going to look awesome, especially whenever you do all your trim work and stuff. And that is one thing I'm so grateful that Dylan and I both have, is like we're both encouraging to each other. He really encourages me to use my strong suits, and I do the same for him. And I think it helps us work well together too, because I don't try to overstep on things that I know he's better at than me, and vice versa. Like we both teach each other a lot each time, and I like really appreciate that in our relationship. Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
So it's not bad.
So we'll just have to hold the square nice and tight on the bottom and make sure we got it exactly where we want it before we screw that in.
How does it look though? Like as far as like this box, is this, you think okay? If we had like a shelf here? Is that like a big enough?
You don't think they're a little too big?
That's what I'm wondering, if we should make it a little smaller.
I think they're a little too big.
Okay. So,
Which that's not gonna change anything right now except just cutting those down.
width-wise, it needs to stay where it's at. Because I don't want this inside gap to be so massive. So I think width is fine. It might be height that we need to adjust.
Which we can figure that out after we mount this.
Yeah, because the width-wise,
let's mount these to get it all square.
Okay. Let's see, once again, we're going to about this.
Yeah, we're gonna get done.
Line here so we don't have to cross that line. Once we get it kind of right there, boom. Pencil.
Really, this board should be tight enough to where it actually pushes it up. It should be the same over here. You're good. I'm just trying to keep it square, so I got both hands already tied up.
I mean, these are fine because they're going to be hidden, but when we move to the actual shelves, like these are going to be kind of exposed. Why the fuck? We never even put screws in those. Those are just wood glued on. We forgot. Well, thank goodness for wood glue. Perfect. Okay. This looks so good.
It's turned out so good.
I love it. Who knew?
Where you go?
Nice grab
It
it.
ain't break time.
I would say it was.
Yeah, it doesn't
You forgot
break.
the measuring tape. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be amazing. And you're thinking,
No.
I like that.
They like that. They ain't trying
It's falling here.
to.
I don't know. It won't stay. It might not be as big as this. Maybe down just a little. I like how that side is, where your hand is.
Look at this end. But you keep moving the board.
I'm not moving anything. You're the one moving it around.
You want
Stop
to
playing.
move it again.
I didn't move anything. Oh, baby, you're back. Probably got you. Give her my picture. Ah! Are you okay?
I almost get us slow.
Mommy, this thing.
As far as this side, like,
A little bit right there. Right there. Right
if
there.
it needs to go up a little bit more, it'll
Right
go
there.
up with
Yeah,
the
that's what I
screw.
was figuring.
Is that what you're figuring?
Yeah. Stop moving it. That's perfect. How many? I was about to say, you got more holes in there.
Yeah, I got more holes.
I got.
Sure, yeah.
What? We were not we were not singing the same song. How you going, Char? The middle.
I didn't know if it was.
Oh, it's gonna look kind of weird. So I probably need to do just order another set and then just do like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I got good ideas on this project. Some good ideas up here tonight.
DIY Dylan.
Uh-oh.
DIY Dylan. She's gonna take my spot. Damn, everybody loves you anyway. And at this point, I think they watch to see you. Your husband's so nice, so helpful. I can't get over how many people just think that, like, I mean, I know that you're a good husband. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Easy. Careful.
No, I'm saying I know that you're a good husband, but I can't believe that that's not like a stand. Like, you know what I'm saying? He just got done cutting out the hole for the speaker, and now we are just building a frame that's going to go inside of the TV stand, and that is what the actual board that has the hole for the speaker is going to attach to. And so what we did was we just built a frame out of some scrap wood, made sure everything was nice and wood glued together so there's no rattling happening with the speakers. This box is actually really important to build because you want to make sure that the sound is really good with the actual speaker itself. So it's kind of like making a speaker box essentially. So we went ahead and got everything dry fit, making sure it all like worked well. We pulled it back out, wood glued and nailed it together. And we want to make sure that we don't like have any wood glue on the actual outside because I planned on painting it. This is actually going to be exposed. So all of the nails we make sure to keep on the sides so you don't see those whenever trim goes up and everything. Okay, get one like here if you can. Yep. That looks great.
Okay.
It's not gonna be level. It looks super good though. And look, check it out. Whenever I put this piece like this, it's gonna hide all that. This is just trim out for the bottom. Now, this was getting towards the end of the day. We had been working on this since the morning, so we were kind of over it at this point. We wanted to slide it back and just kind of see how everything was going to fit on it. So before we got to the finishing steps, that if there was anything we needed to customize or fix, we had an opportunity to do that before I got into stain and paint and, like I said, the detailed trim. So we put the receiver box in there. We also put the Xbox, just trying to see how all the cords would fit and how flush it was going to go against the TV. So this is kind of like the scale. You can get an idea of what it looks like. Obviously, please keep watching so you can see the finished result because it looks much better than this in the end. I think the stain and the paint really just make everything pop and just look amazing. And I know that this is a longer video for this type of DIY project, but because it is a custom build, I wanted to document the entire process start to finish, not just to share with you guys, but also to look back on. And, you know, when my kids, something that I absolutely love about my channel, and I know this is like kind of cliche, everybody says this, but truly being able to document my life and have it for my kids and possibly even my grandkids to be able to look back on, to learn from, or, you know, just to have as memories is such a cool thing. It really is. But anyway, jumping back into the DIY, I'm now going to go ahead and start staining these small pieces of fluted trim. These are so pretty, and I really wanted like the fluted detail because I feel like it's very timeless. It's in right now, but it's also something that has never really went out of style in my opinion. So that's why I decided to do a lot of the fluted trim. Now, I did originally go in with the special walnut stain. You'll even see me stain the entire TV stand, the special walnut. At one point, we'll talk about that in a couple minutes, but I really love this color on this trim. It looks so pretty, but for some reason on some of the other fluted trim, the wider fluted trim that I got, it just was very splotchy. No matter what I used, no matter if I used a stain conditioner or just anything, it didn't matter. It just looked kind of like more farmhouse, rustic looking, and I didn't want rustic at all. I didn't want that look. I wanted timeless, old world, I don't know, modern. I wanted something very, the way that I kept describing it to my husband, I was like, I want rich. I want like a rich color. I want it to be a solid, dark stain that's very rich looking. And he was like, I don't even know what that means. I'm like, I don't know, like the rich color wood. And I guess what that color to me is like, almost like a mahogany, like a deep, like cherry wood mahogany style, like with no just very solid stain. I don't know how to describe this. I'm not great at describing things, but I just didn't want there to be a bunch of different splotches of stain. Like, for instance, you'll see what I'm talking about when I start staining it. We'll talk about it again because it is something that really was driving me crazy, and I wanted to cry. I'm not kidding you. When we got to that part where we were staining, I was like, there is no way this is going to turn out good at all. Like, there's just no freaking way. Like, what is happening? Why is the stain not doing well? It worked really good on the birch like panels, but it would just, the trim was not taking the stain well. But before we jump into that staining and painting portion, I did tape off everything just so that way when I was painting and staining, I didn't like mix the two. And this was nerve-wracking because I knew I wanted to have like the black pops, but I also really wanted stained. And it was just so difficult to make the decision on what was going to get stained and what was going to get painted black. It truly was. But ultimately, we decided that the speaker and the board that the speaker's on had to be black because the actual speaker cover needed to be black. And we felt like if it was stained with the black centerpiece, it was just going to pop too much and just look a little too awkward. So we ended up going with this piece being black, the other side, and all the shelves being black, and then everything else was getting stained. So it was going to have like that variation of black and dark wood. It'll make sense as you keep watching. It does come together. At first, it looks a little crazy and a little ugly, but it does. Trust the process. Now, I am using Beyond Paint in the color Licorice for the black. I had it on hand. It's a great product. Y'all know I rave about Beyond Paint all the time. Not sponsored. Just genuinely stand behind the brand and the product. So that is the paint that I ended up using. And then this was me going in with that special walnut stain on the actual wood. And it just wasn't rich enough for me. I wanted dark, deep cherry wood, mahogany, something dark. This was not it. This looked very rustic to me. And do you see the fluted trim on the corner there, how it's getting splotchy? I'm like, what is that? I was like, this is never going to work. So I ended up, after staining the whole thing, about dying out here because the stain is so strong. I ended up having to put my mask on even outside. I don't know how people use the stain in their house, and I see it done all the time. You will literally, like, it's horrible. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, so after staining it, I just didn't love it. I actually had to run to the store a couple times, and I ended up landing on gel stain in the color Special Walnut. So the gel stain in the Special Walnut was the perfect color. That's what I was looking for. And this is when I started to, wait, this is not it. You see how, okay, so see the legs? See how the legs are solid? Like, that's what I wanted, but it wasn't working. At the top now is when I'm going with the gel stain. Do you see the richness I'm talking about? That is what I wanted. So at this point, when I figured out that this gel stain was it, I just went right over top of that stain and stained the entire thing with the gel stain instead. This stain is also extremely strong, so you're gonna wanna wear a mask, do this outside with a fan if possible. And I'm pretty good at paint and staining at this point in time. Like, I don't have to use a ton of tape and cut in, and I still had to do another coat on the black, so I felt like if, God forbid, I did get a little stain on the black area, no biggie, I'll just be careful whenever I do go back in. And we carried it in that night, which I wasn't dressed appropriately to kind of share all that, but we carried it in because we didn't want the dew to like mess it up because it was so tacky. It stayed tacky for 24 hours. That's the one downfall about using gel stain. However, after letting it fully dry, I then started taking some of those smaller pieces that I was staining earlier. I did go in with the gel stain and stain those the darker color as well, and I'm actually adding this detail around the speaker. This was something that I had in mind. I really wanted something that had I wanted lines, I wanted like the fluted detail, but I just wanted something a little unique, and this took me a while to figure it out. We tried multiple different options. I even taped these up and kind of left them for a couple hours and kept walking back in. I took a ton of pictures from different angles to just see which style looked the best, and ultimately I ended up deciding on trimming out the entire speaker piece with the smaller fluted detail and then adding 2 of the fluted trim vertically, and then did one horizontally going across the 4 that are on the front. So it actually stands out a little bit further than the other ones. This was just such a cool detail. I feel like it just kind of created that almost like jukebox style look that I really liked. I just think this turned out so cool. So that is what I was kind of doing here. And I had a little set of nails you can see I'm using as a guide for the width because I wanted to make sure it was all even. And that little set of nails just happened to be the perfect size. So I just used that as a guide on where to actually put my trim and make sure that it was even and straight all the way up. Now, at one point, I remember thinking I was just going to use the vertical trim and not add the horizontal, so I actually waited till the following day to add the horizontal trim because I just wanted to make sure that it's what I wanted to do, and I wanted to get my husband's opinion. I wanted to take a photo and kind of just look back and make sure that this was the right choice, because once you add the nail through this trim into the other trim, in order to pull it off, it was going to damage it. So it was like, you can't make a mistake. So I ultimately decided on this design. I think it gave the most unique look. And while I was working on nailing all those up, Dylan was working on the backboard for the TV stand. So I ended up going with beadboard, but last minute I decided to use the flat side instead of using the beadboard. I felt like there was just way too much detail going on at that point. I didn't want to take away from the front, so we ended up going with the flat side. So I just used these little painting pads and took the Beyond paint in the color black, the same color I used as the other black details, and painted it. Just one coat is all it needed. I did a really good thick coat, and I love these painting pads. They are amazing. They just make it so much easier and faster to paint. So I did this, and while this was drying, which it dries pretty quickly, I finished up the rest of the trim, and then we worked on nailing those up together and just finishing up all those little details. Now, tomorrow we can cut holes out and get everything in place. Look how good it looks. I wonder if these are dry enough to put them on. I'm not gonna get a new one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's stuck. Tomorrow I'll try to like strip it. Just put that one over there. I was gonna peel this tape off though. I mean, obviously I didn't get like a fine tooth brush yet, but I will. To make sure we get rid of all that white. I'll just use like a
I don't
baby.
think you'll see it.
No?
No, you won't. You're good.
Okay.
Put that cover on.
Look at our masterpiece! Dude, it looks so good. All right, here's the TV stand. Oh my gosh, I can't even put into words how much I love this. It just turned out incredible. I mean, I knew I had a vision. I put it on paper. I drew it up before we even started the build. And I didn't expect it to turn out this good. This is so unique, yet I feel like it's a really good timeless piece. The colors and everything, I know we're gonna have this for the rest of our lives. This is just absolutely stunning. And the speakers, the fact that they're connected to our surround sound and everything just sounds incredible together. It's just awesome. It really is. I am so thankful that my husband and I built this together. You know, it's just one of those things that when you start learning how to build things and then you create something like this, it just makes you feel so accomplished and just so proud of yourself. And I truly am. extremely proud of how this turned out. Like I don't even know what to say. I would love to hear your thoughts down below in the comments. I didn't really show you guys the back very much, but all that's on the back side, we have like beadboard back there, and then there's like little boxes here. I can't pull it out by myself, it's kind of heavy, but the back is a little bit open because we do have our internet cables and stuff back there. But as far as like the front, oh my gosh, this is just, you can't find this in no store. That's what I love about it. I love just the uniqueness of it. Anyway, that's how it turned out.